Ooh, welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, where we stay winning in New World Aeternum. I got the Artifact Warhammer on the first day of the mutation rotation, and we are ready to do some crazy stuff. So let's run it back like how I did for my Legacy weapon guides. Just kind of show you the raw power of the Warhammer. And that was the surprising thing for me. I was like, yeah, Warhammer just kind of like CC, and it's not that crazy. And people responding to my guides are also like, what do you mean it's DPS? Clickbait, liar. It's like, no, you actually get in there and you play proper cooldowns with Mighty Gavel, and it is disgustingly absurd what this weapon is capable of. So let's go and do a pool. Let's see how it goes. So you want to open up with some CC, immediately go into the Gavel, and then that's when you want to get some abilities off, and hopefully after that, everything just goes nice and crazy. So we have an effective, like, infinite rotation of abilities when you get to a certain point, and then things are going to be pretty awesome from there. If you have problems, which we didn't have right there, then you can use the stone form, and if you're getting like perma-staggered because you pulled too many enemies or there's like a lot of CC going on, you can at least buy yourself some time, heal up to full off of the blood drinker, then hit whatever, and you are good to go. Did we get the ectoplasm right there? Nah. Okay, so what's going on here? We're playing around refreshing Mighty Gavel. You get up to 20% cooldown reduction if you hit people with Mighty Gavel, which as you can see, there's a lot of enemies to hit, so that's no problem. And that's also going to be the ultimate on the skill tree, is that it doesn't give you a global weapon perk, it just works for the Mighty Gavel and gives you some crazy stuff. Grit, crit chance, and then reduces other Warhammer cooldowns by 10%. But then we can also get 35% cooldown reduction on heavy attacks, and if we hit someone with a debuff, that's going to be up to another 35%. So you end up with almost infinite ability rotations on the Warhammer, which is why I don't think, like, it's crazy, 3 years and people don't know how the Warhammer works. Now the light attack one only works if they have an active debuff, but guess what? You can apply debuffs. So abilities apply exhaust. That sounds more of like a PvP thing, but it also works in PvE. So if we hit this dude, we get the exhaust, we can watch our cooldown reduction come back. So boom, he has no regeneration, and now every time we hit him, we get just a little bit back. So that's a good way of putting that onto the crowd to guarantee that your light attacks will give you crazy cooldown reduction. And the funny thing is, I didn't have this selected on the last pull for some reason. I thought I like clicked it and assigned it, but it didn't give it to me. So we probably would have done even better on that last one with like more reliable cooldowns and crowd control on it. But yeah, that just kind of shows how this plays. And the rest of it is really self-explanatory. Whatever you hover just kind of makes sense. Empower on heavy attacks. We're using those for cooldown reduction. Grit to heavy attacks. It's good to not get perma-staggered and then die because you don't get to take any action. Now, there is a difference here between my Warhammer guide and what you see, because I have Wrecking Ball. What I don't like about Wrecking Ball is how small the radius is. It's practically a single target ability, even with breathing room, but it also kind of helps out to put that exhaust on extra enemies, and the biggest thing about it is grit. So this has grit, this has grit, this has grit. Path of Destiny is really cool because it hits a lot more enemies, and it can also stagger, and it also has cooldown reduction. So if you already have room, Path of Destiny is good, but you can also get like perma-staggered out of it and then never get the chance to activate it, which can also kind of suck. 15% increased damage against targets affected by Warhammer debuffs. So I mean, even as you're building this out, like, it might sound weird, but exhaustive attacks into concussive impact as you're gaining levels at just 15% damage because you're spamming abilities. There's pretty much never going to be a time where they don't have a debuff from an ability on them, and then you're just running around spamming things and getting more cooldowns. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and now let's go to the attributes where you need 350 strength, 150 intelligence, and you can do whatever after that. I like the 100 in constitution. It gives you a lot of bonus health, it gives you a lot of base health, and then it means you can just dive into tons of enemies and have no problems. Now, I don't have the best gear, and I'm only using the 44 attribute food buff at this point, so if you get the other points, you want to put into dexterity, because we're not finding a lot of crit chance in our builds, and those crits are juicy and insane, so you just want that little bit of extra chance for the crit, and that brings us to our gear. So what makes the Artifact Warhammer so insane is that you get 20% lightning damage, and your Warhammer is converted into lightning damage. So it's just a Warhammer doing all the crazy Warhammer stuff with 20% more damage. We get another Mighty Gavel effect, and refreshing move, even though it's not like the core of what's going on here. I would like Keen instead, just to kind of guarantee those crits a bit more. If I mean like, oh, we're doing heavy attacks and light attacks, and they're giving us an extra 2.5 cooldown reduction, that can make a little bit of difference right there. So really strong. As for the secondary weapon, this is where things get weird, and you also might be wondering, wait a second, dude's lost his mind. There's no intelligence scaling on the hammer. It's still all strength, even though it has electric damage inside of it. That's because this has already been tested and found out by other people, so you go on Reddit. Is 150 intelligence better with full lightning harnessing because you just get elemental damage? So you need 150 intelligence if you want to do max damage with the hammer. Me and my guild members tested it, so that's pretty good. And you do 6 to 9% more damage than if you just have 500 strength. Now, because we're splitting, and we're not even getting full scaling on the Warhammer, it makes the secondary kind of weird, because 150 intelligence, that's not enough for a Void Gauntlet. You don't have, like, intelligence strength scaling on weapons, so it gets kind of ugly. I was thinking, oh, the spear, because I have my Greatsword Spear Guide, where it's like, use the Greatsword to clear out packs of enemies. Well, this is really good at doing that. And then you can use the spear to carve up bosses, but nah, it doesn't work, because the spear is just way too low damage. You can also just be lame and use a Great Axe. Not the Abyss, because you can't have double artifact weapons. But, like, yeah, full strength Great Axe, full strength Warhammer, GG easy, get, like, trenchant strikes and all kinds of damage buffs. And it actually works out pretty well, because you use your Warhammer abilities. If they're a couple seconds off cooldown, just kind of spam your Gravity Well, your Reap, your whatever, get all of your health back, go back to Hammer, start winning. But I think the best pick for the electric Warhammer is going to be the Hatchet. Because while Berserk is off cooldown, you have infinity ability rotations on the Warhammer. Also, the Warhammer is great at clearing out packs, but the Hatchet is great into small groups of enemies. So, like, finishing off the last couple of survivors with the Hatchet is great, or just carving up a single target. And then once your Berserk wears off, you go into the Warhammer and you're completely fine. So I have a Hatchet guide, use that, put in a Topaz because that converts half of your damage into lightning, which then gets all the effects from the blessing as well as the elemental damage we're going for. And it's just ridiculous. And that brings us to the perks on our gear where you want wards, aversion, and lightning harnessing. So you get lightning harnessing on everything. That's crazy. Third perk can be whatever you get. Refreshing is kind of nice because we are playing around a lot of cooldown rotations. The actual perks on the weapons kind of matter as well. So Penetrating Wrecking Ball is just straight damage increase by ignoring 22% of the target's armor. Same thing on Sundering Shockwave, where we lead Shockwave, we go into Gavel, and then they just have less armor, and they're taking more damage, and it also applies for 10 seconds, so your entire combo goes up. So, like, I'm leaving 50% damage. Like, we can increase the damage we just did by 50% if we invest into crazy gear. Now, finding that is kind of difficult because you need Enchanted Ward, Lightning Harnessing, and then a Warhammer perk. Good luck. Now, the Hatchet perks can be different to the guide because Keen Berserk on weapon is kind of crazy. Refreshing Torrent, we're not playing around the cooldown reliance on the Hatchet as much because we do want to go back into our hammer and make the most out of all that. So, Raging Torrent, you can have it on your armor, but good luck getting that. And then Crippling Feral Rush is also just more damage, and Keen Berserk is more damage. So you have Giga, Uber, Mega, Super Duper damage, and we're leaving just so much of it on the table compared to what I've shown, but good luck getting like the 60k to fully invest into this gear, or good luck actually getting the 700, 710, 725 gear that has everything you're looking for with an Enchanted Ward, Lightning Harnessing, and then Great Axe or Hatchet perk. Now, I said we're leaving 50% damage on the table, so let's see how that plays out, because we don't have Electrified Rune Glass, so that's going to be 10% across all of our armor pieces, but then the Azoth Conductors, the artifact pants from the Gorgon raid, that's 15% elemental damage while in medium equip load. This is medium equip load, so 15% damage. We're at 25% in just our armor, which is kind of crazy. I haven't upgraded my Warhammer artifact because Weapon Matrix is still pretty expensive, so I want to put Thwarting Strikes on it because we have Grit on all of our abilities and heavy attacks. While you can go Trenchant Strikes, our abilities are the playstyle of this build, so just 7% damage on all of our abilities. And then it gets interesting on the Blood Drinker, because my philosophy on Blood Drinker is if you want to be the best all-rounder artifact, put Keen Awareness. No matter what build you go for, your Blood Drinker is there for you. However, I don't even have it fully upgraded because going back to Starstone is kind of annoying. Again, Matrix, kind of expensive. So I don't lose anything. I feel no different by having no Keen Awareness on this, which means if you are 100% committed to your Void Gauntlet build, to whatever other build you have, to this electric build, then you put damage Electric damage on the Bludgeonker means we have like 7%, 7% from thwarting strikes, 40% damage right here, and then the bonus damage from the Rend and penetrating Wrecking Ball. It's crazy, but it's also like the super duper extra mega giga build that takes all of your investment to get into. However, if you pull it off, it's insane. And I think that's it on the total breakdown of this build. I finally got my Warhammer artifact. I feel like I've passed my 800-hour account in just 2 weeks, and I've also been making a lot of videos, so I haven't even been playing those straight 2 weeks. And now I just need to like make the money and upgrade, and I think this is gonna be my final super duper end game build. So everything just kind of see, I tried to like do a heavy attack. Just don't like, it feels like you want to do a heavy attack. You just use the gavel whenever you can, use all of the other abilities whenever you can, and then everything feels great. Because I'm used to playing the great axe. My natural instinct is press button and then wind up a heavy attack. No, you always want to go shockwave into gavel. And then when they have all that stuff down, you play the cooldowns, you get the Wrecking Ball, you get another gavel, and everything is awesome. So that was even misplayed. That was horribly played. And then we also are just missing like the 50-60% damage by not having the full build yet. But yeah, I also don't think I'm betraying the Void Blade, because this was kind of the plan. I've talked about this plan in my other guides before Aeternum came out, and just kind of how I want to go about the content, where, okay, first thing is you play Great Axe, because Great Axe, all the game, like you can do early game, mid game, late game, Great Axe takes you there. Once you have the money from beating the story and earning a little bit and farming and stuff, then you can afford the Abyssal harnessing and then go into the Void Gauntlet and higher intelligence. Because like Great Axe works regardless of how many attributes you get. Once you get higher attributes and gear score, maxing out intelligence for the Void Blade, that's where it's at. But then if you want to peak, Bis Warhammer. But my god, the investment is a crazy long ways away. There we go, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.